being in Bournemouth, did you go to Slinky regularly? Is that a place you went?
all the time. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
I'm
basically
still
what I
friends
meant
with
when
a
I said
couple.
I used to come down to Bournemouth.
Yeah. So a couple of the residents are still really good friends of mine and stuff. So yeah, that I was there every Friday without fail. Loved it. Yeah.
Who was a resident?
And again, I feel like all those experiences, and I feel like if you're into all those sort of things and
Mm.
visuals and events and fashion, and obviously it has a big part to play in what we do. If you understand fashion and color and all these kind of micro trends and stuff, like I've just kind of got into flowers. And I dabble. I obviously like I use artificial flowers in a lot of what I do, but rather than just poking them in balloons, try and make them look a little bit more um, architectural, I suppose is the right word. So I've been really getting to grips with that. Just about to do my first really big fresh floral job. So yeah, I'm adding strings to the bow all the time. I feel like I have to, because otherwise I get complacent. And I like to switch things up. And you can. I mean, I've actually just finished putting together. I know the people on the podcast aren't going to see that, but I've just finished doing that.
That's very nice.
So
That is
yeah, so I'm always practicing, always trying to like hone my craft a bit.
so you have a team that help you out. How
Yes.
did that come about, and how did you take the plunge? Because it's something else too scared to do.
Yeah, so I took on, it was really funny actually. So I did a job for a girl who was sort of like a micro influencer in town. No, I wouldn't say influencer. She just had a really attractive looking Instagram page. She was good at taking photos. I did her 21st. And then she was like, "Oh, I'd love to edit some of your pictures and stuff," because she was so good. And so I'd send her sometimes things to get lightened or whatever. And then I posted on my story that I needed an assistant because I started using more heavier equipment, backdrops, light up numbers, and all that kind of stuff. It was just handy to have someone around. Obviously, it's really ad hoc work because you can't, I couldn't have someone on a payroll as such. Um, she was just an obvious choice. So yeah, she came on board with me, and we had it's so much nicer doing a job with somebody than on your own. Did start to find it quite lonely, and sometimes when I am doing the jobs on my own, it's not as satisfying as when you've got a team around you. Because when I'm putting balloons in, having an extra pair of eyes to just go, right, if I'm putting this here, does that look all right? Yeah, cool, and I trust them. I always go for girls, not necessarily girls. I would obviously have a fella as well, but like the girls that I have, they've been chosen specifically because I think they're good. They have a good eye for stuff. They're fashionable and things like that, and they're just really hardworking. But yeah, I do. I have another girl that's been with me since the start as well. It's hard, obviously. Some of the girls when they start with me are quite young, and then they go off, and then they do find other jobs, and it's hard to sort of retain because I can't give them that constant work load. Obviously, they will go off and find other jobs. So finding the right people that aren't that basically you're not just going to train up and then they're going to fuck off and start their own business. That's always the worry. Um, Luckily, that's never happened to me, but I know it's happened to other people. So yeah, it's but now we've got a core group of girls, and they're great, and actually couldn't do it without them. So yeah, I'm really pleased with the team.
So, what aspects do they? Obviously, they're there and they can give you a second opinion and things like that. But does it take some of the heavy work out? Like, do you not have to pump all 600 balloons yourself because someone's going to pump the other 400, or is it run you
Essentially, yeah, essentially on bigger jobs, it's I employ the team so that it makes my time at a job shorter, so that the job gets done quicker. I still use a pink pump, and I know you bought one of those Air Force. They're just really expensive, aren't they? It's the only thing that puts me off. But I think I've got to invest in one because I think it will cut my pumping time. And I'm not adverse to the pink pump, and I think I've got about 10 of them. Um, but yeah, I think I'm going to invest in one of those Air Force 4s soon. Just to, yeah,
I'm a lover of the
make
ping
things.
pump. It did me so good for years. But
Yeah, yeah.
I
Do you
can
know what?
I
I'm 3 years
reckon
in, and yeah, it's a great. It's not. It's great for what it does. But yeah, I think we will invest in something. But there's always something to invest in, isn't there? That's the problem I'm finding. I find like, especially because we're so trend heavy, that products and backdrops and props that I buy now, I know potentially aren't going to be fashionable again in 2 years' time, and that's tricky. And certainly a lot of the stuff like balloon hoops, like the rings, the moon gate rings and stuff. Obviously, when I started, they were pretty big, even though I wasn't really into them then anyway, and I'm still not now. And I always try and wean someone off of that idea if they come to me. Um, but yeah, I think it's just the high turnover of stuff, and then you've got to work out your profit margins and stuff like that. So yeah, that's a little tricky.
yeah, I'd
Still
say the
trying
pump's
to
probably
work
the only decent bit of advice I actually have.
is to get it.
Pump
Yeah, I
yourself in
think I
time.
will.
It You can have two. If there's two of you, you can do four balloons at a time. You can One person's on the pedal, you hold two balloons each, and it will do all four for you. So it does. It does every
Really?
time.
Oh my god. Oh my god,
Um,
I need to do it.
I don't know what they cost over there. It
I think they're about
actually
500.
Okay, yeah, that's gone up a lot. I reckon I paid $650, $700, and I used my government COVID check because they gave everyone $700 and said do what you want with it to stimulate the economy, and that's what I used.
Oh,
Get mine. So
oh,
otherwise, I
okay.
probably still wouldn't have one. So it was a bit of luck that had it,
Yeah.
but
Oh, that's good.
something good came out
Yeah.
of COVID anyway. Um, I
Yeah,
forgot.
no, I definitely will do it. Yeah, well, we were, yeah, like we were saying with the team and stuff, like, and another thing I sort of want to like touch on is like another reason why I sometimes take on some of the girls that I have done is because they don't always know what they want to do when they're leaving school. Some do, some don't, but I very much at that age had no idea what I wanted to do. And when I was younger, I think, yeah, you definitely, I think you put more into it as well, and they appreciate the job. Um, Whereas I do feel like when I've gone to hire older folk, this sounds like I'm being really ageist, isn't it? I do feel like sometimes all they're looking for is a training program so that they can go and do it themselves. That sounds awful, doesn't it? But I'm here. I don't know. I feel like I've got a soft spot for girls that are either in school, leaving school, and it can be sort of like use it as an inspiration, I suppose. I never knew what I wanted to do. I mean, who wakes up one day and goes, "Oh, I want to be an insurance advisor"? Like, no one. Boring. Do you know what I mean? So,
Not very. It's not what I imagined
if
someone
you
doing.
know, like if I can help someone on that journey, even if it's just for a year or two, to inspire them to do something else, like have their own business or um, just get creative for a couple of years and then maybe see if that going down, because what we do has so many different creative avenues, whether you're doing the social media thing or florals or balloons or whatever, or event management or whatever. It's got so many different avenues, and that is, I like that. I like giving that experience to the team as well. It's good. It's a nice feel good factor.
Yeah, biography name from manumission to insurance broker, eh?
Yeah, I was like a jack of all trades, though, to be fair. It was just one of those. I left school, knew you could spell fudge with my GCSEs. I'm just not very academic at all. And I'm gutted about that. I just feel like that's just the way my brain works. Like with my accounts and finance and my books and everything, it's literally just offloaded onto someone else. I just don't have that brain. Like, I like to know, and I know I can, as long as I can see what I'm earning, what I'm spending, what my profits are, then great. But I'll let someone else deal with that because I know that that's not how my brain works. I'm
But
good at selling, and I'm good at creating, and I'm good at mechanics and getting and painting and being creative. I'm just not that way inclined. But yeah, I've been a bar manager. I've worked in insurance. I've worked in a bank. I did promotions for a while. I did all sorts of stuff, and then it's just been a floater for so long, and then just ending up in a grey office selling insurance. I just knew it wasn't for. I just knew I wasn't gonna retire doing this fucking job. I just, wanted to pinch myself to stay awake in the office. Like it's just horrendous. I just knew it wasn't for me.
I know how you feel. I can't say too much at the moment. Back to what you were saying before, I think it's good you're taking on the younger girls, because if I was 18, even if it's just them getting experience, like out working in the world, it's got to be better than the typical retail job at McDonald's. And like when they put their resume
Yeah.
CV in front of someone in future, they're like, okay, cool, you worked doing balloon displays for a balloon business. That's setting them up for something good, and it gives them some good exposure. And it's like, oh, life isn't necessarily going to be boring. They're not
Yeah.
going to be working something.
Yeah, definitely. It's exposing them to a different world. Like, when you're taking your team into some of the houses that we go into, I mean, they're just like, I think it pumps them up, and I kind of wish I almost had someone like that for me, or there were jobs available like that for me when I was younger. I think it would have spurred me on into a much better path quicker. But it is what it is, and it's happened the way it's happened. But yeah, no, I'm all for um like apprentices in that form, if you like. Yeah. So yeah, really good team, and I love them.
All right. So what's next on the agenda? What's the big plans for the next 12 months? I know you're going to take on a few big events if you can, in addition to the ones you've already got. But any other plans?
We've got, yeah, so it's really funny. So the big events that we've got booked in, they've all got booked in probably sort of around the very first couple of months of the year. So we've had loads of time to plan, which is great. And really utilize it. It's really funny actually. Like I really know how to map out my year now, and I know that. So we really got into the Christmas door thing. I don't know if you've seen that on my page, but we do the Christmas decor. So no balloons, basically almost for like 2 months. I don't even touch a balloon. And last year was really epic. And with the Christmas doors, obviously we retain that business every year, because once the clients got those good products, all the stuff, their fur and all the decor and stuff like that, we package that up, store it, not necessarily for them, but we package it all up for them. And then that's repeat business, because we just go out every year, and then that just becomes a service that we provide. So then we put it up every year for them. But each year now we have another few clients come on at Christmas time. So basically from sort of October, end of October to sort of mid-December, we're just flat out with fur with Christmas stores, which is great, and I love it. I think we're going to try and hit more corporates this year, which we'll start planning now. Obviously, the summer months are just packed out with outdoor events, which I just love. And then we know that February, March, maybe the start of April is always going to be our quiet period, but that's the good time that we get planning now. And we do a lot of sourcing and that kind of stuff. So all the boring stuff, I suppose, all the laptop stuff. But yeah, it is definitely a little bit quieter this year, but I'm trying to weigh up whether that's just because I just don't do smaller jobs now. So it's maybe a bit of both. It's maybe the economy definitely probably has something to do with it, but also I don't burn myself out with smaller jobs anymore.
Yeah, it's definitely economy, I reckon. That is a big part of it. It's starting to hit over as well. Not from, I run another small business. Yeah, another reason why something had to go. And that slowed down massively. And everyone on Instagram in Melbourne, there's a lot of people saying it's slowing down. So it's definitely a thing, but you just happens to every business. You just have to adapt, and you have to just grin and bear it. And
adapt with the ebbs and flows. Yeah, 100%.
All right. So if you had any advice, which you haven't already covered in our little chat. Have you got any drops of wisdom to spread out there?
I think authenticity and individuality is really key. Not necessarily in just balloon designs, but in terms of your branding and things like that. You've got to make yourself look different. There's so many businesses out there which all look like a mesh, a mashup of the same thing, and they're all called very similar things. Which, it's never too late to change. I've changed my name a couple of times actually. Like when I first started, it was Just Peachy, and then I changed to Just Peachy Party. But I felt that made me sound a bit too kid party, and I wanted to broaden that scope. So I changed my name to Just Peachy Events. I felt it just sounded stronger, and appealed to more the larger event market. And I tried to make my branding not look too girly, although it uses a peach aesthetic. It's quite contemporary and modern. But yeah, really think about. Sorry, my husband's just moved. Yeah, I think really think about how your clients see your business, and think about the stuff that you like. Like if you're looking at people's branding or people's pages more so than other people's, what is it that's making that stand out for you? I know I had, like, my superheroes were Alari events. I don't know where they've gone. They need to come back. But Alari and In the Wild, and obviously there's tons in Melbourne. I think Moments by Mel, I love her. All of these companies, but yeah, it's how they put themselves out there, I think. So I think just be really aware of what people are looking at, and try, like I said, I always say this: don't be too negative. Don't put negative stories up. If you've got beef with a client, or you've got beef with how people are messaging you and things like that, don't put it on your stories. Don't try to make it too personal or too about you. I feel like it's a bit of a no-no, and I feel people get too personal because their business is their baby. I get that, and I totally get that, but don't make it personal. People don't get it. People won't get it like you do. It's just, yeah,
agree. It's not their baby, and they don't care about your business. They care about you making them
happy.
Not that
at the end of
nasty,
the day, all you'll end up looking like it is a sourpuss, and people just won't want to work with you. People remember that sort of negative behaviour. I think so. Yeah, it's best not to, in my view. It's only my personal view, like it is with everything we're talking about, I suppose. But that would be my biggest piece of advice. Oh, and another thing, a little top tip, which I've been using recently. We've just bought these pink gloves. This one, I can't remember. Someone else put this on Instagram, and I can't remember who the life of me it was, and I need to thank them. But that Porsche one that we were talking about earlier, it was a big outdoor. It was one of our sort of big outdoor events. Using latex gloves when you're on outdoor events, because the balloons oxidize so quickly. You don't want to get fingerprints on them. Use the gloves. Honestly, it's magic. It's so good. That's my other top tip. That one's obviously a bit more technical. Yeah, honestly, it's like the biggest game changer. So I bought a big pack of them, obviously pink. But yeah, so a business one, and then obviously the technical side of one. Pink gloves. Buy them if you're doing outdoor events. Your hands get a bit sweaty, but it's definitely worth it.
I was just going to say, who knew that you needed, or who knew that balloons oxidized in England, eh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. It's been warm here, actually.
I know,
it's been really warm.
Yeah, like high 20s every day.
Yeah.
So one last question, because I'm glad you mentioned your name, because that was one of the main things I wanted to ask you was about why Peachy. Just felt right, or just thought it stood out amongst the sea?
It's random how I came to it. So I think probably I was following lots of pages at this point, and I think that like that whole nude and neutral light peachy kind of aesthetic was how I wanted to go. So I literally Googled peach aesthetic, and the images came up, and I think it was must have been in like an Etsy seller or someone like that, and there was like you could buy a poster that said Just Peachy, and I was like, that's really cool. I'm going to be called Just Peachy because peaches are round. It's that whole, they're spherical like balloons, and it just sounds cool. And with that, I can make my logo like a nice light peach aesthetic, and that was it. And that was where it came from.
It works really well. Stands out as well.
Yeah, no, I'm really pleased with it. I've never thought, oh no, and hopefully it doesn't date, which is another thing. But yeah, no, I'm really pleased with it. But I did notice about 6 months afterwards that there is another Just Peachy in America. They're not a Just Peachy Events, but
It's a peachy
yeah.
affair. Is that it?
There's a couple of other peaches now that have popped up. I think there's another couple of peaches over here, slightly different, but that's all good. It's fine. I'm pleased with mine.
I was never sure about my name. I think it's a better podcast name than it is the Bloom business name. So, um,
Oh,
but it's nice. It's finally coming useful, which is good. All right, I will let you go. Thank you so much for your time. It's been good. Good
that's all right.
chat.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
No, pleasure.